Hi, I'm Gary Eckstein from organicweb.com.au. I'm a Mailchimp Pro partner, and welcome to the third episode where I answer your Mailchimp questions. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video. If you have any questions you'd like answered in future episodes, please leave a comment on this video. Let's get started. So the first question I'm answering today is why in Mailchimp reports are subscribers with most opens so high? So let me go across and I'll just illustrate what's being spoken about. So if I go into campaigns and if I go into reports and go into an email report itself, so I'll just go into an email report, view report, just a demo email I sent. So if we scroll down the page, we can click on open, but if we keep scrolling down, there's this section called subscribers with most opens. So the question is, why under subscribers with most opens do we sometimes get large numbers? And I'll just click view more. Now this was just an example, so it's not a very good illustration, but you'll know what I'm talking about if you do see it. You see large numbers under opens, maybe 20, 100, more maybe opens. And you can click opens and you can scroll up and down. So, sorry, excuse me. Why do we sometimes have high numbers? Does this mean that someone's actually opened our email, 20 times or whatever? It actually doesn't. The problem is Mailchimp is actually quite an old technology. The standards were set in the sort of 1990s odd. And the way that Mailchimp and other systems, Campaign Monitor, Constant Contact, whatever, how they determine whether an email was opened or not is they include a transparent image, a tiny little image to the email, and if that image is opened, it counts as an open. But this can cause various options. So, of course, what happens if the person has images set not to open? Well, then Mailchimp can't determine that it was opened. There's certain other things as well, is that there's no way of actually telling whether someone forwarded your email or not accurately. There's just no way, right? The only way it can be done is by inferring it. So what we do, and what generally, well, this is what I advise anyway, is look at the opens. And there's a margin of error because some people have, or most people have, multiple devices, a phone, a tablet, a computer, etc. So it might show opens as, being opened a few times. That's fine. But what I say to my customers anyway is anytime you see opens above about 10 for an individual contact, that probably means they've forwarded the email to someone else. Now, because each email that is sent to each person contains a unique tracking link, if, for example, you send me an email, I then forward it to someone else, even if that someone else opens it, it counts against me as the original recipient. So even if they forward to someone else who then forwards it to someone, etc., they all count against me. Okay, so that's why. Now, you'll often find possibly your competitors here would have forwarded around their office. But you'll also, this could be a good tool for determining who's, if you want to call them a warm lead or someone that's engaged with your brand. Because if someone's forwarding your email, it sometimes is a very good sign. I work with a lot of travel companies, government travel bureaus, etc., etc. And often, of course, if a family is going to travel together, they'll forward the email to someone else and so on. So it could be a good indication that someone's engaged with your brand. So that's the opens and why sometimes you'll have a high number of opens. So yeah, I've got 4 questions to answer in total today. The next one, how do I change who a Mailchimp email is sent from? Well, that's nice and easy. Let me start creating an email campaign. Sorry, let me click create and I'll illustrate this. And I click email. I'll send a regular campaign and I can call this anything I want. I'll just call it test for now. Click begin. So the question is, how do we change who it's being sent from? So when we set up our audience at first, we set a default name and email address who the email is sent from. Just the default, but that can be changed per individual email. So for example, if I first select my audience, and you need to first select your audience, otherwise this won't work. You select your audience, whichever one, and I'll just click save. So now, by default, Mailchimp has included the default name and email address that was added to that audience, but we can click edit from, and we can change it here from Lee, and you could change the email address if you really wanted to too. Okay, and click save. So that's how easy it is. On to the third question, and then I've got one more after that. What makes for a good subject line? Yeah, this is a good question. The good news is, by the way, just while I'm thinking about this, if I click add subject, you'll notice that Mailchimp has a sort of subject line builder here. So love great marketing tips, question mark, and Mailchimp will then look and say, okay, it's short and sweet, not too many emojis, etc, etc, etc. But let's just talk through it a little bit. So what is it? Now, I recently made a video on a copywriting formula that certainly I use because I'm not the greatest copywriter in the world, but it just makes it simple, called the AIDA copywriting formula, and that stands for attention. You get the person's attention. You get I is interest, get their interest, which is the headline usually in your email. D is desire. You add a few more words, a bit of text, just to get them to hopefully click, which is the action. Sorry, the last one, action, AIDA. The button, call to action, is the button. But the first bit is you've got to get their attention. The subject line is critical, and it directly correlates to whether you have good or bad open rates. A good subject line, just as Mailchimp says, short, sharp, sweet. But the main thing is you capturing the person's attention. But don't mislead them. What I mean by that is there has to be a correlation between your subject line and the content. So when the person opens the email, so hopefully they get the attention, you've got their attention with the subject line, they open the email, and then it should support, the email should support whatever's in the email itself. But often questions work best. Something like newsletter, March 2021 is an absolutely awful subject line. It doesn't make the person actually want to open your email. You've got to make them want to read more. You're getting their attention, they want to read more. Short, sharp, sweet, that's probably really the best tip I could give anyway. Last question for today. Is Mailchimp only for small businesses? Oh, absolutely not. Mailchimp usually markets itself or positions itself as a small business all-in-one marketing platform, but I can assure you that it can handle whatever you throw at it. I certainly have some very big clients, millions of contacts. Some of the world's biggest organizations use Mailchimp, and it works absolutely perfectly. Big and small organizations. And just to show you, on the Mailchimp pricing page, so I'm just under pricing at mailchimp.com, you'll see, there are limits on the plans, the maximum number of people you could have on a plan. But if you have more than 100,000 contacts or 200,000, 100,000 to 200,000 contacts, you would need a premium plan. But honestly, if you've got tens of millions, Mailchimp will handle it without an issue. It's not a problem at all. Again, if you have questions, please leave them below this video, and I'll try and get onto them. Please subscribe to my channel, and yeah, thanks for joining me. I'm Gary from organicweb.com.au.